I never expected a single text message to unravel the fragile calm I had built in my life, but that night proved otherwise. My name is Marcus, and for years I had trusted, believed, and given my all in my marriage. But trust, I was learning, is a fragile currency. Easily spent, difficult to reclaim, and devastating when it's betrayed. It was 2 a.m. when her name flashed on my phone, Vanessa. I barely slept through the evening, but seeing her message jolted me fully awake. Busy, will call later. My stomach sank. There was something calculated in the timing, the wording, the casual dismissiveness. But what truly unsettled me was the hesitation between those words. I could feel it like a tremor under my skin. Something was wrong. For the next 10 minutes, the silence was unbearable. Every second stretched, heavy and laden with suspicion. By 2:10, the front door slammed open. Vanessa rushed inside, her face pale, her hands trembling, and a panic-stricken energy that filled the room like static electricity. "Marcus, it's not what you think," she stammered, her voice cracking as she tried to mask fear with hurried words. I didn't respond immediately. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse. I simply observed, as I had learned to do over years of noticing the subtle cues people leave behind when they are hiding something. I watched her movements, the nervous glance toward the windows, the shaking of her hands, the slight tremor in her voice. I noticed the scent of fear clinging to her, a mixture of perfume and adrenaline, betraying whatever attempt at composure she was trying to maintain. She believed she could rush home, explain, or maybe distract me with charm and half-truths. But I had learned the hard way that fear has a language of its own, and lies always leave traces. As she fumbled with her words, trying to reassure herself more than me, I began piecing together the story before she could even finish it. Every hesitation, every stutter, every defensive posture added to the narrative I had already suspected. This wasn't mere forgetfulness or a harmless detour. It was deception, deliberate and reckless. My mind worked quickly, cataloging every detail, every clue, every discrepancy in her story. I realized then that confrontation required precision, patience, and timing, not emotion. I let her panic hang in the air like a thick fog, unspoken but palpable. "Marcus, I didn't," she started again, but I held up my hand, stopping her mid-sentence. The moment had shifted. This was no longer about explanations or apologies. It was about consequences. She had made a choice, and her choice had consequences. By 2:10, she had realized something herself. Her hurried return was a confession in motion, a silent acknowledgement that whatever she had done, whatever she had hidden, could no longer be escaped. Once Vanessa was inside, I didn't immediately confront her. Instead, I let the tension build. A silent pressure that made the room feel smaller with every passing second. Her eyes darted around, searching for a lifeline, a distraction, or any small escape from the inevitable. But I didn't give her one. I simply sat back, observing, cataloging, and letting the weight of silence force her to confront her own fear. Her hands fidgeted, twisting rings and bracelets, a nervous tic I had seen countless times before. "Marcus, I swear it's not what it looks like," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But words meant little in that moment. I had learned long ago that actions, hesitations, and reactions reveal far more than carefully chosen statements. Her rush to come home, the tremor in her movements, the faltering tone of her explanations, all told me what I needed to know before she even finished her sentences. I began recounting my observations, calmly and precisely, each fact laid bare. "Vanessa, you left at midnight. You went to see him. Your phone was off. You thought 10 minutes would cover you. But the truth moves faster than you imagine." My voice was steady, composed, but each word carried the weight of inevitability. She flinched, realizing that her carefully constructed illusion had already crumbled. Every attempt at deflection or charm now fell flat, her panic unmasking every lie. I had prepared for this moment with careful planning. I had documented inconsistencies in her behavior over months, subtle signs of betrayal she thought I hadn't noticed. I had pieced together her secret meetings, the hidden messages, the clandestine encounters. Vanessa had assumed she could manipulate, charm, or rush past the consequences. But I had the patience and precision to ensure that her recklessness would meet inevitable accountability. Then came the moment to shift from observation to action. I informed her, calmly yet firmly, that her choices would have consequences beyond her control. Every deception, every betrayal, every attempt to belittle or dismiss my trust would be addressed, not with emotional outbursts but with precision. She had assumed her actions were hidden. She was wrong. Legal safeguards, evidence, and strategic planning were now aligned to ensure she could not escape the repercussions of her choices. By the time the clock struck 3 a.m., Vanessa was silent, drained, and pale, understanding for the first time that her fear was justified. The hurried journey home, the trembling hands, the desperate pleas. It was all a testament to the realization that the web she had woven had ensnared only her. For the first time, she truly comprehended that deception carries a price, and that some consequences cannot be negotiated, delayed, or evaded. The final confrontation was quiet, yet it carried a weight that Vanessa could not escape. I had called her into the study, documents laid neatly before us, each piece of evidence, every recorded discrepancy, every proof of deception meticulously organized. Her face paled as she realized the gravity of what she had walked into. "Marcus, please, I can explain," she stammered, voice trembling. I didn't interrupt. I let her see the reality she had tried so desperately to avoid. I began to recount, calmly and methodically, every detail of her actions. The secret meetings, the lies, the manipulation, the mockery, the way she had tried to dismiss and minimize her betrayal. I spoke plainly, without anger, letting the facts carry the weight. Vanessa's defenses crumbled with each sentence. Her attempts to charm, to plead, to redirect were futile. She had underestimated one thing: my patience, my observation, and my unwavering commitment to ensure that deceit did not go unpunished. When I revealed the consequences, frozen accounts, blocked access to assets, and legal safeguards that ensured she could no longer manipulate or escape responsibility, her world seemed to collapse. The woman who had rushed home at 2:10 a.m., terrified of my response, now understood the full scope of her miscalculations. You can't," she whispered, disbelief and desperation mixing in her tone. I let the silence speak louder than words could. In that moment I realized something important. This was not about vengeance. It was about justice, accountability, and clarity. Betrayal has consequences, and the moment we ignore the subtle signs, it can grow into a silent, corrosive force that erodes trust. Vanessa had assumed her actions could be hidden, her deception contained. But the combination of patience, observation, and strategic action ensured that truth would surface, and consequences would be inescapable. As she left that night, drained, defeated, and stripped of the privileges she had taken for granted, I felt a sense of closure I had never experienced before. The storm of betrayal had passed, leaving only the calm of truth and the satisfaction of knowing that justice, precise and unwavering, had been served. Vanessa's fear, panic, and eventual acceptance were reminders that actions have weight, lies have a shelf life, and trust, once broken, must be met with consequences that are absolute. That night, as I returned to my quiet home, I understood that patience, strategy, and clarity are the true measures of power. Vanessa had mocked me, dismissed me, and deceived me, but she had no idea that her choices would transform everything. And now she had learned. Sometimes the cost of betrayal is far greater than anyone ever imagines.